So, the panel discussion that will now take place, sponsored by Kenvue, is titled Future Proof Your Careers, Cultivate a Bold and Sustainable Relationship with Work. So, the world of work today is evolving at an unprecedented pace, shaped by automation, AI, shifting economic landscapes across the globe, and the growing demand for purpose driven careers. Women professionals across all career stages, whether entering the workforce, transitioning mid career, or re entering after a break, must adopt an approach to build relationships with their careers that bring in success and wealth, but also sustainable for long standing relationships. So, this session will be comprising of business leaders and L&D professionals and will dwell on how women professionals can future proof their careers by embracing adaptability, continuous learning, and intentional well being. The panel consists of Aarti Mahesh, Head of Treasury, Region India, Bosch Limited, Rajesh Puneyani, the Vice President and Managing Director and GCC Site Leader for Kenvue India, and Vanaja Shetty Gowda, TA Director, Tekion. Aarti Mahesh is the Treasury Head for Region India entities of Bosch Group with an experience of 23 plus years in Treasury, consulting, corporate finance, and banking operations. Aarti is responsible for overall treasury strategy, consulting, and operations for India for the Bosch Group, with key focus on capital structure, liquidity, market risk management, treasury operations, cash management structure, and special projects. She's a keen supporter of DEI topics and initiatives with experience of curating women leadership development and mentorship programs. Her me time is spent in avidly watching global geopolitical developments with impact on India, listening to Hindi and Tamil music, and reading mythological fiction. She is married and has a teenage daughter. Mr. Rajesh Puneyani has a remarkable career spanning 28 years of leadership experience across the globe. Mr. Rajesh has played a key role in setting up and maturing centers of excellence, global delivery centers, and global capability centers. He's recognized for his expertise in infrastructure technology, service management, and operational excellence, along with a strong commitment to digital transformation at Kenvue and during his previous roles at Wells Fargo, Oracle, IBM, and Dell. As a certified professional coach, Rajesh is dedicated to developing and bringing out the best across his teams and managing talent across levels. He has played a pivotal role in championing diversity and inclusion practices within the organizations he has served, particularly focusing on technology leadership and strategic initiatives. As an industry leader, Rajesh has been a recipient of numerous awards throughout his career, including the coveted Next 100 Future CIO Award in 2023. Outside of work, Rajesh is dedicated to holistic wellness and health programs and actively promotes this in his personal and professional space. He also has a passion for playing badminton and serving the community. Vanaja Shetty Gowda comes with 18 years of experience in talent acquisition and human resources, having made significant impacts at organizations such as Myntra, VMware, and Yahoo. During her tenure at Myntra, Vanaja was responsible for driving strategies for talent acquisition champions, creating key partnerships, and building programs for the workforce of the future. She has extensive experience in setting up inclusive TA processes, leading tech and non tech lateral hiring, campus hiring, AI driven TA processes, digitization of TA processes, employer branding, DE&I initiatives, and so on. And our moderator for this session is Usha Pillai, Senior Vice President, Recruitment Delivery at Avtar Group. Usha Pillai, the moderator, has over 30 years of experience spanning several industries: IT education, telecom, tech support, BPO, accounting, KPO, holidays and leisure, and consulting. She has acquired rich domain experience in HR consulting and telecom sectors, education and training, and contract care operations by virtue of building the necessary infrastructure, capacity planning, streamlining operations through systems, processes, and people to deliver client metrics and organizational goals. She's played several roles from being a trainer, CRM specialist, profit center head, regional head, head of service delivery, to being a chief operating officer. So over to Usha, who will take the session forward.
Thank you, Mitra, and a very warm welcome to all the panelists today. Let's dive straight into the topic. So, future proofing your career. What does that mean? It means taking proactive steps to ensure your career remains relevant, adaptable, and sustainable despite all the changes that are going around you. It could be the job market, it could be the technology, it could be the industry, and most important, despite changes on the personal front, how do you future proof your career? In my 34 years of experience, I have seen changes in industry starting from the time people enrolled for courses on how to switch on a PC to high technology apps which today toddlers use without any training at all, right? Now, most of us, the audience here, as women, we have to expect life changing events like marriage, motherhood, layoffs, perhaps, which will have an impact on our careers. More than your career or company being interesting, you have to remain interested in furthering your career. And if we don't adapt with times, we will be left behind. I mean, to plainly put that across, I'm wondering what happened and filled that with one thing that we don't want, which is regret of any kind. So let's now move on to our panelists to learn from them some important tenets, pillars of how to future-proof our careers. So today our panel discussion will revolve around a common question to all our panelists, followed by individual questions and a common concluding question. So I would ask the common question, which is, from your own personal experience, what's the best way for a woman to future-proof her career in addition to ensuring that her work stays fulfilling? Do start with you with your own career, your own example of how did you future proof your career. So I'd like to start with Vanaja, who comes with close to 20 years of work experience. Over to you, Vanaja.
Hello, thank you so much for the warm welcome, Usha and Mitra. Glad to be part of this discussion. To start with, when you say future, can you future proof in the era of AI? I absolutely felt definitely impossible. But we don't really agree or accept or giving up, is it? So what really requires for one to excel in a career or either build such kind of a resilient environment around you is more to do in terms of how you want and what you want to be in the future. I'm just to pull an example, your career is just like upgrading your phone. You don't want to freeze at the moment something new comes out, and you're so constantly adding new features to the to make sure that you're running and staying ahead of curve. It's possible only if we are adaptable, resilient, and prepared to evolve alongside the entire changing trends that we have. And there are numerous technologies, numerous trends that come into the industry is something that has to challenge you every step. Essentially, if we're talking about my own mindset or how do I remain valuable to the entire market shift or the new technologies that's coming in, is something that's always kept me up. For example, like focus areas, like I come from the world where it was all about technology hiring, and I come from the talent acquisition background, so my experience is going to be more relatable to that world. So come from a world where the hiring was just about technology hiring, tech hiring, and it just evolved around techies and where you sit in an office, try and do what it requires to. How do you actually find good talent to come across? And now in the early world of AI, you can get a list of that people in a second, in a blink of your. I think it's just about how do you try and stay relevant for this market, especially when you have to prove yourself. For me, key things that really have kept me up in terms of future proofing, my own career. I've at least tried doing that and it has worked. What I could probably share is that continuous learning has really kept, and I always tried being a fungible resource, and more someone who can adapt to anything and everything. I'll give you an example of where it was, and like I've switched sectors. I said I started my journey with Yahoo, which was a completely tech-oriented company. And from there, I moved on to a cloud computing company to look at how the global market evolves and what's that I could do. And then everywhere I was put, like I took that as a challenge and I was an experimentation that I did with my own career. I think it's just about how willing you are in terms of absorbing something new, learning something new. Every time I was put in a corner to say, okay, do you really fit into this world? Do you really want to do something around it? Either I had to give up, I had to just take that as a challenge to come up. And from moving on from tech to cloud, and then it was an e-com boom, then I could have not stayed without, jumping into that to see what e-com brings into, entire palette here. And I got in there, and I think it just about how the entire e-commerce work. It's about breaking this all of that into pieces to understand what each world brings to you and how it's different and how you evolved. So I had to I had to wear multiple hats when I had to do tech, when I had to do e-com. E-com is all about, and then especially when I'm talking about e-com, and I gotten into a place where it's all about fashion, and it's fashion, clothing, retail. I think every sector that I've worked, I had to adapt myself, especially when I gotten into e-coms. And one of my mentor really glorified this entire apparel and the retail industry to an extent, and I couldn't say no to this offer. I gotten into this company, and all that I had to understand was this: when you're going to hire, I was completely thrown off guard. I was supposed to find talent who were into this retail world. Like, I literally had to learn what fashion was, and I had to understand how do I go through, how do I make my shift from tech world to a non-tech world. And that's why you see my credentials when we're talking about it's about tech and non-tech equally. Generally, when someone starts with the tech, then it's just completely the other way. I think it's just about learning. Now I embody the entire retail and the fashion world in terms of, to an extent where I have accepted this the e-commerce stance. E-commerce can go into various other sectors too, but I think it's just about, for me, it's confined to retail. And how I really acquired to is that now I can talk about your quality of the clothing that are either knit, woven, cottons, and a variety of, and I can go on and on and on. I think I had to literally sit down to understand the basics of each of these. And
Wonderful.
I think,
Wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, so it's all about how you tailor yourself. There were so many moments that I had to give up. I really wanted to, and I was like, the first few months of e-coms took a trail on my entire I think
Right.
now it made me question myself. Am I here, and am I here to do anything here? And I think, and that every phase of my where I chose a different sector, and now I took a automotive sector, which is Tekion. I think it's just about experimenting yourself, staying relevant, and pushing that bar in terms of staying relevant there. I think it's a constant struggle between how do you want to sail, right? And it's about understanding the technical aspect, or learning something from your own. And it's about pushing the bar for yourself, and
Thank
that's
you.
what I
Thank
truly.
you, Vanaja. I think what's coming across your varied experiences, the phrase that you used of continuous learning. So let's see what Rajesh has to say. So Rajesh comes to us with 28 years of work experience. Over to you, Rajesh, about your experiences and how you future-proofed your career.
All right, no, fantastic. Thank you so very much, Susha and Mitra, for a great start, and of course the introduction. Not sure if I needed those many seconds for the introduction to happen, but of course I'll gladly take it. Of course. Now I think I'm a diversity in this panel, of course, so that of course is a good thing. And which I was telling before this panel also, in my current organization also, I'm a diversity in my whole core governance team. So that gives me a very detailed perspective on what's happening around us. And again, in my 28 years of experience, I have been blessed with some great diversity, people who have worked for me, or my peers, or my leaders, who have given me a good perspective on what exactly happens around those. So I have a little bit of a playbook to myself in terms of how I used that playbook to future proof my career, obviously, and what those diversity leaders and my peers have done over the last 2 decades or so. So see, this is there's a saying that charity begins at home. So obviously, you need to start with yourself as an individual. So when I say with an individual, you have to develop first of all a very strong personal brand for yourself. What defines you, what makes you unique. Sort of a SWOT analysis. That you need to do yourself and showcase it through what exactly interests you, what exactly challenges you, and what exactly sort of derails you. So that of course is your first beginning, where you can see where is your career leaning towards, where are your interests, and where you need to develop from a trending point of view. That's the number one part of my the playbook. Second thing is build a very strong network. Usha, that of course this whole industry is all about connection. This industry is all about who who's who, and who's connected with whom. So building a very strong network to future proof a career, whether it is for diversity or individually, for me I think it has worked wonderfully. Surround yourself with people who can actually take you to the next level, whether they are sponsors for you, whether they are mentors for you, or peers, and who can challenge you to grow and not like take you down, because that is again sort of a psychology that many times we face, or we meet with people who can have a tendency to give you that negative energy. Stay away from those is obviously what one of my mantra is, and then surround yourself with people who can actually continue to encourage you. So I know sort of a peer in mid-level corporate job who reached out to the industry peers, mentors for guidance. She got pushed back by a couple of them, but she got a very strong support in the form of a casual coffee chat, became a job referral, and in the end she ended up getting a very strong senior leadership role in the industry, of course, that she was looking forward to. So that matters a lot. Third most important thing is, of course, build adaptive skills. And I think this is where Vanaja alluded to as well, my fellow panelists. Stay ahead, obviously, in terms of continuously learning new technologies, new skills of the art that, of course, you have a primary core, expertise of, and continue to stay in touch with the industry trends. And again, this is not something which will happen overnight, but obviously you need to continue to have that passion to do that. Be agile in your approach. When we talk about agile, we talk about iterative process, right? So this is where you need to constantly evolve yourself. And I'll give you a very great story in about 10 seconds. There was a finance professional who was working for me in one of my previous professional lives. So she was a very strong chartered accountant, CFO person, but she saw the upcoming boom in the AI-driven analytics space. She started to learn the skills of that trade. She, took the data analytics certification courses and started to apply the data analytics into the finance typical, spreadsheet-based and, tool-based work. And then guess what? Currently, she's not a finance individual. She's actually a data scientist and data analytics leader in a leading tech organization. How she has evolved over the period of time. This is all about you discovering yourself, your interest, and then keep learning, from that point of view. And the fourth point in my playbook, Usha, is of course, cultivate a growth mindset. There are a lot of negative things all around us. There are a lot of derailment factors and challenging factors all around us. How do you take those challenges in a very positive growth mindset way, and of course seek those challenges, and again make those challenges as the opportunities which will take you to the new places. You will always find somebody who will be the shoulder that you can obviously lean towards, learn new things, and stay relevant in the evolving job market. And this is where, of course, in my current team, obviously I will not name them right now, but you might know, I have people in my current team who have taken multiple cross-functional roles over the last 5 or 10 years and reached where they have reached right now. And that actually gives me a very strong positive energy in terms of how people are actually, or diversity and women employees are taking their careers in the hand. And the most important part, prioritize your well-being and obviously your boundaries. And this is where Vanaja, of course, alluded to as well. Sustainability success comes when obviously you have ambition balanced with self-care. And this is where obviously Kenvue's primary purpose is realizing the extraordinary power of everyday care, right? Because we believe how strong your self-care actually can make you very positive in your mindset, very calm and quiet from inside. And all those things that I spoke about obviously are not going to be useful in case your personal well-being and your self-care is not prioritized, of course. And if I can,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Right.
and one thing, of course, before I take a pause, of course, and hand it over, own your narrative, Usha.
Yes.
Be intentional about career moves. People may say anything, people may, sort of question anything, might take you down also. Ask for what you deserve, ask for what you have learned, and don't hesitate to step into the uncomfortable territories and roles. This is where obviously you need to obviously create your own narrative and story. That is how the world is going to be, sort of recognizing you. So all these bullet points in my mind are all experiential. Of course, that forms my playbook as well.
Yes, I think Rajesh, you covered the entire gamut, which is starting from the audience could be from zero work experience to even 35 years of work experience. You've covered that. Building a strong personal brand that happens as we go along. Rajesh Puneyani, Aarti Mahesh, Vanaja Deva, Usha Pillai, we have built our own brands. Of course, there might have been some dips and ups, highs and lows in our career, but we are our own brand actually. And you used a very strong terminology. Do a SWOT analysis, which is your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats when it comes to your professional career. What could be the opportunities? What are the threats that will disable you from, pursuing a very satisfying career? Thank you so much for that, Rajesh. Over to you, Aarti, to share your experience.
Thanks a lot, Rajesh and Vanaja, for those insights. It was really good. As Usha rightly said, it's applicable to even people with so many number of years of experience as well. So, from my perspective, there were a few things that I did consciously and also with mentoring from my leaders along the way. And probably I'll pick out two or three things that I feel has helped me so far. The first thing is, of course, pacing oneself. As a career woman, apart from work, we all go through changes in our life cycle, and that also needs energy and focus. So, for example, I learned early in life that life is not really a race with peers or a classmate, where in the beginning I sprinted right ahead, and at one point, when undergoing these life cycle changes, they went ahead in their career stakes. I learned it is about living through each phase of our lives at our own pace. I even took a 2 year sabbatical. I learned that one will catch up in this race at some point or the other. We may have to focus more when needed, either on work or personal life, and this is a balance. They say life is a zero sum game, so you do catch up at some point. Today, touchwood, I'm happy that though my career may have stalled somewhere along the line earlier, I'm also happy that I was able to focus on my personal aspects of my life, slow down a little to give birth, balance when my daughter was growing up, to spend more time with her. And this is what I have coached the other women colleagues as well in my organizations so far. My second tip is create support systems for yourself. We as women also want to be perfect at whatever we do. However, this is something we have to let go. We may think we are superwomen, however, we need support systems. We can't do everything and then suffer the physical and mental pangs of that. And I felt this more when my daughter was growing up. They say that you need a village to raise a child. It's true today, even more. You may want to spend on the external support systems to earn that mental peace. You may want to invest in your internal support systems. For example, I requested my husband to come in early whenever I was busy with projects at work. Plan travel in such a way that one of us was at home with the child. This ensured I was able to expend my energy on my career when it was most needed. And very important, and Rajesh and Vanaja have touched upon it, don't stop learning. If I look back at my journey so far, I've moved in the consulting, corporate finance, and treasury space across industries. I did my certified treasury professional course from AFPUS when there was a slight blip in my career when I wanted that booster dose in my career, especially when I'd slowed down. I'm still learning, and I'm proud to say that the new developments in treasury world, the digital tools that we can use, going up and setting mentoring sessions for myself and for my team. Today, I'm looking at doing even an independent director's course. This may come in help only at a later point of time, and top it up with different levels of an enterprise risk management course. So I can say I'm still learning, and I would like to actually leave that thought with all of you here that keep learning, don't stop learning.
Thank you. Thank you, Aarti. I think the takeaway for me, especially, is have that energy. Whatever said and done, however qualified you are, however experienced you are, you have to have that energy. What you bring in the morning to work, have the same amount of energy when you go back home. I know it's easier said than done, but that these are life lessons you have just shared with us. You said let go. Certain things just have to be let go. You cannot let your past influence your present and future. And yes, for women, it's so very important to have the right support systems at home to ensure that you are able to deliver on the job. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have a cool 103 years of experience right in front of you. The four of us here bring more than 100 years of experience. So, I mean, that's it's a great place to learn, if I may say so. So now I'd like to jump into the individual questions. So, first question is to you, Anaja. What role does resilience, resilience, that ability to bounce back or recover quickly from difficulties, that what role does resilience play in future proofing a career? And how can we, build that resilience in our everyday work life?
Yeah. It's a beautiful word. Resilience really, really means a lot to me. And And I think that's one word which brings in a lot of importance in our life and revolves around us, most of it. And it plays a very critical role in future-proofing a career, especially when you're working in a dynamic and unpredictable environment like this. It's about, it teaches you how to embrace change. It teaches you how to push boundaries without denying your abilities or skills. Putting all of that aside, it just teaches you a lesson in the in the whole world. It let alone itself, it just drives you. That's the power of that word in itself, Usha. When I talk about it, I'd also quote an example, how I face one of such scenarios in my life. It was not just my life or the journey that we have reached right now here wasn't hunky-dory, right? It was anything but for a straight path. Because as women, I had to take various phases that came in, just like how my fellow colleague who just talked about. And I think it's just about experiencing the life, and I also took that it as it came. It wasn't like that I had a straight 18 years and I had a break in between. How do I deal with it? What do I took a back step and to say, hey, you know what, life's not a race, and how do I actually chase is about how do I want to do and what I want to do in life. It is not a setback, and I will thrive back again. It is not going to decide or define my career just because I took a break. So I took a family where, when, right after of my textings, then I took break, career break for about 1.5 years. When and I had a beautiful boy, and then looking back all of that, and it was worth it that I took about 1.5, 2 years break. The time that I spent with him is definitely not directly proportional to any wealth or happiness or the success that I have achieved so far and so in the life. Like, I think many of you can relate to that when you talk about it. Most of them asked me whether my ambition and success came in my in way of the break that I took. But how I defined that was, it actually fueled my ambitions, right? When I came back, and that's the e-commerce thing that I took, and then after the break, when I took it back with a lot of stuff, of course, rightly said, without family support, without your spouse and family's support, nothing is possible. I think if you are really, really walking fast or you're achieving something in life, it's just because you have a strong ecosystem which backs you up, right? And trying all of that together, I jumped into a world of supply chain with e-commerce, and it wasn't a path that I ever had looked at. It was an untrodden path for me. And the first few weeks, and I wanted to run away. And I said, I come from the tech world, and can I really take it? So these were two challenges I took when I came back from a break. When I initially struggled with the technical aspect and understanding of what this world is, it's just more of, tying back to all of that we've spoken in terms of how your continuous learning, how networking, and how utilizing mentors at the right time and adapting to any changes helped me, is this beautiful story in terms of being ambitious and still want to kind of carve your niche strength out. I literally had to learn everything. For an example, I took supply chain, and I had to learn what's logistic, what's warehousing, what's your entire fulfillment center operations looks like. Although I did leadership hiring, leadership, setting up teams for leadership and core excellence team, and I also had to kind of look at blue collared employees and hiring that, and that's not something I ever done in my life. And why am I quoting this example is because it could probably given an understanding. Everyone told me that you just have a small baby and you just come back from your maternity break. Are you someone made for this? And I said, let's not really judge a book by its cover. Let's see what can that bring, right? And of course, it was a lot of support everywhere else, professionally, personally, that helped me learn what it is. And I literally had to sit in the warehouse to understand what is packing to that
Yes.
extent.
Right.
I think a lot of your mentors and learning ability, adaptability, that brings you and makes you stay ahead of anything. I think
Nice.
that's how I come back and I explain my resilience and how I built my career over all of
Wonderful.
that. And
Yes, it resonates. It resonates with so many. So, taking a cue from what you just said, Vanaja, I'd like to ask Rajesh the next question. What strategies can women use to proactively navigate career progression post maternity leave and avoid being sidelined when it comes to future proofing their careers, Rajesh?
No, fantastic, Usha. Great segue. Absolutely. And thank you so much. And I think some of the response is going to be a repeat, some parts of it, of course. So pardon me for that. But first of all, I think returning to work after the maternity, for some people may feel like stepping into a fast moving train, because the world is moving so fast, whether it's the business world or the technology world. So there is a fear, that FOMO factor can kick in, fear of missing out. So first of all, that FOMO factor is very natural. Being overlooked for promotions or high impact projects or the visibility based projects. However, I think there are certain very subtle, positive, very grounded things that those women employees can actually take it up in their day to day life in terms of to make sure they not only just reintegrate smoothly into the workforce, but also continue to future proof. Obviously, what we spoke in the last section. Now, first of all, at Kenvue, we aim to strengthen the representation of women at all levels, whether it is a management or individual contributor, to reflect the markets in which we operate. Because we definitely realize that this is a very strong, powerful, the sector, which can offer a lot to us from a business point of view. Now, what strategies? Three or four very simple strategies, of course. First of all, again, upskilling is a common denominator across all of us. We'll talk about that in multiple contexts. So that is, of course, going to be very important. But most importantly, it's not just about taking trainings. It is all about, it's, you need to obviously holistically look at engaging in professional development through coaching, mentoring, certifications, workshops, attend the leading industry seminars, see what is happening in the industry and not just the certifications, because the world could be talking about some GenAI certification. People could be talking about cloud technology, business certifications. First of all, again, go back to the roots, do all that homework that I just spoke in the previous section about SWOT, what are you aspiring to be, and then appropriately engage in those kind of professional development assignments, including the industry participation that can actually take you to the level that of course your career looks forward to. That's the number one. Second thing is Vanaja spoke about this, leverage your support system. And again, this is of course very powerful because a lot of people may feel like, again, they have missed out. So, how to, sort of get into that support system or ask for help or support. But again, this is where I always, say that ask. There is no harm in asking. Worst come worst, you may not get anything, but at least you will not have that qualm that, you didn't ask. If you had asked, you would have got something, in return. So be open to ask for what your aspirations are. Be open to ask for what your challenges and opportunities are. And I'm sure there are hundreds of people out there, around you as a peer or a leadership circle who are there to help you, for the right, for the right challenge that you're looking forward to. Most important element out of all this is, of course, enter in the workforce or in the market with a very strategic, positive, and fear-free mindset. Because that is where, of course, the apprehensions about you have missed out something, those things can play into your mind. So whatever opportunities may come in, you might lose in case you're not obviously playing on a fear-free playground. So take your return as a re-onboarding as a very positive element. Set clear goals for yourself. Short-term goals, this is what I'm going to be doing. Set mid-term goals, this is what I'm going to be doing. And long-term, again, going back to your SWOT and your aspirations and your past, strengths and, experiences that you have gained. Do your homework and, of course, continue to stay relevant in the industry from an overall industry trends point of view. Now, there are certain things, from a mentoring point of view, you can reach out. You can reach out to your sponsors, people who actually will understand the challenges, how the women employees and leaders will face in integrating work and the life and of course family. And this is, I'm using a word integrating rather than balancing, because we strongly at Kenvue believe there is a work life integration rather than work life balancing, because that is of course the way for us to go. And seek a sponsor or a mentor who can actually advocate you based on what they know about you to get to the advanced level opportunities. And my, again, some of those things could be a repeat, but my final thought on this particular subject is returning from maternity leave should not be about catching up. This is an opportunity that everyone should take to redefine and recalibrate their careers and see what exactly they would want to do in the new scheme of things. If you have come into the workforce after, let's say, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, the world would have moved on so much that catch up is obviously not going to be possible. So redefine, accelerate your career with strong intention. And then again, own your story, own your brand, and own your ambition, and take proactive steps to do that. Stay positive, stay patient, and I think certain things may take time, Usha, but I think with the right intention, right support system, and right thought process, eventually all those things will materialize in the favor of what that individual employee leader or women employee could be looking forward to as
And
well. So that's
let's
my simple sort of a bullet point here.
It's not simple, it's power packed. It's fully packed, and there's so much to learn in this couple of minutes. Given us so much of inputs. I think what the common thread that came out from Vanaja and Rajesh is that mentoring is so important. Ask seek mentors. Though, I mean, you may think that you don't need any coaching or mentoring, but believe me, when we go through life's challenges, we need those mentors. People who ask us the right questions. We are quite capable of coming out with our own solutions, but we need the mentors to ask us those questions. And
Yeah.
of course, Rajesh, like you said, ask for support. Yes, we are super women. We manage the home front, we manage all the relationships, we manage the work front, we manage all our colleagues, all our team members, but then it is not possible to do it all the time. Ask for support. That was really key. So
Yeah, so just one more
sure,
statement
sure.
before I obviously. So as
Yes.
a professional, certified coach, obviously I have spoken with a lot of people who have reached out for support. Of course, they were all pro bono, but this is the common theme that I have, of course, picked up that they want to be heard. They want to be, of course, they are looking forward to somebody to guide them in the right direction. They will figure out their way. They don't need the action plan. They just need the direction.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Thank you, Rajesh. So, Aarti, in your opinion, how important is passion? That strong feeling of enthusiasm or excitement, a deep love for what you like. So, how important is passion in creating a sustainable career?
Sure. So let me be very frank here, and please don't get me wrong. If the reasons for getting up every morning and going to work is only to pay an EMI or school fees or taking care of your numerous purchases at the mall, then we may be in a very routine 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, 7, 8, whatever work treadmill with maybe some passion for work. I'm not at all taking away the importance of economic reasons for working. That is a key part of why we come to work. However, what's important is the mark that you want to create for yourself. Set goals, notch up the achievements that drive you towards the excellence and helps in a sustainable career, because this is the mindset that will actually help you build a sustainable career. And I also went through this phase when I found that just present at work is not helping me. I was more curious, eager to learn more, take up more, and be uncomfortable with new roles, but also upskill myself to face the challenges. And trust me, there are challenges in our careers. And at such times, it is our passion that creates the resilience to face the troughs and pinpricks. And everyone's career success does take time, and it is the passion that keeps us moving on, even when the immediate rewards may not be forthcoming. At some point, no one can ignore the passion and the performance also that we bring to the work, so that it will be recognized. There are days when you don't want to get up from bed, and all of us have those days. But if you pursue your work as something that excites you and aligns with your interest, doesn't feel like a chore, then there is a sense of purpose. So build that sense of purpose. This ignites the passion which is needed for sustaining the career. And it's also important to align the personal values with work. So reflect a lot on what's going right and what's not. Results of your labor will definitely follow. But you need to be proactive in aligning your career with your values, be it by shifting industries, taking on additional projects, and more importantly, by setting boundaries. The alignment between the personal life and work. For example, an after work sudden drinks invite casually thrown at a team And most of the male colleagues will jump right into it. What do you do? Does it interfere with your values, your personal time, but at the cost of missing a key networking opportunity? One has to take a decision at that time. A career built around your values will feel more sustainable and fulfilling because it taps into what truly matters to you at the end of the day.
Yes, Aarti. Couldn't agree with you more. I think you asked a very important question. When you get up in the morning, do you want to go to work? Yes, we all have our, our reasons to go to work. One, of course, is to pay the bills. And second, so if you are raring to go to work, I get up, yes, I look forward to work, and that's passion. If you find that, no, do I really have to go to work? Is it Monday morning? Then you know your passion is dipping. Take action. I think that's the wake up call Aarti has just shared with us. So, yes, I mean, we could go on. This panel is really interesting. Yes, but we do have constraints in time. So, I'm going to move to our question, which is if you could give one piece of advice on how to build a meaningful and sustainable relationship with work, what would it be, Vanaja? If you could just take 1 minute for that.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So my question is, if you could give one piece of advice on how to build a meaningful and sustainable relationship with work, what would it be? We spoke about at least 15 different things. What
Yeah.
would it be? One mantra from your side.
Achieving or striking a balance between your personal and professional life, yet keeping your ambitions burning.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Rajesh, what would you say?
Can I give three quick bullets?
Yes, please.
All
Please.
right. No, so I think very quick three bullets are, again, first of all, you need to define what success means to you. Because success is not just about one size fit all concept. So you need to obviously define what that means to you. That is number one, is personalized. Second thing is, like I was saying in the previous one, integrate. Don't just balance work and life, because that is not going to be working in today's world. So that integration is important. And third is, don't work for titles, don't work for individual functions. Build a career portfolio which is full of experience, which is full of skills, various sub-functional experience, cross-functional experience, and make your career more richer, resilient, and future-proof in the end.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh. Aarti, what would you tell us?
From my perspective, I guess to be very planned and be structured with, if required, with a task list, whether it's for official, personal, prioritize and use time effectively. Balancing and prioritizing, I feel, involves staying flexible and being mindful of your energy levels. It's an ongoing process, and we should be ready for the balance shift, sometimes towards work and sometimes towards personal life. But the flexibility and staying intentional will help us manage everything without feeling stretched too thin. And this is something I've also learned over the last few years.
Right, thank you. I think to wrap it up, I think we shouldn't be scared of making mistakes. Mistakes are not for mistakes; it's for correction and for learning, right? I mean, one mistake and you can't berate yourself, beat yourself to death, saying that, oh, I made that mistake. It's fine, get over it and move on. And like Rajesh said, and a couple of us said, that work-life integration. Don't do it at the cost of the other. Don't work at the cost of your personal life, and don't focus everything on your personal life at the cost of work. Learn how to integrate both. So that brings us to an end of the wonderful. I mean, despite having these many years of experience, it's always great to touch upon some of the basic tenets of work life, some of the basic tenets of how do we future-proof our career. I mean, we could work till we retire, we could work past retirement, but these are all building blocks of having a sustainable future, right? Okay, over to you, Mitra. Are there any questions for this panel today? Do we have any questions from the audience?
Let me just check for you. As of now, there are none that I've received. I'll just wait for 30 seconds more. Okay, there are no questions from the audience for this one. So I will take this opportunity to thank you all. Thank you, speakers, Vanaja, Aarti, and Rajesh, for giving us enriching insight and tips on how to navigate this fast changing world that we find ourselves in. Thank you so much, Usha, for moderating this session for us. This topic is so relevant given the now more than ever, given the world that we're living in with AI and just everything that's happening at such a quick pace. And as a Gen Z early career woman myself, this was particularly inspiring for me. I really loved some of the ideas presented. The idea of constant adaptability, building that within yourself, of entering the workforce with a strategic and fear free mindset so that you can make the most of opportunities. Like the idea of being proactive, asking for support when you need it, and the importance of passion in motivating resilience and, in keeping us going into the future we want to build for ourselves. And I love that having a job that's aligned to your values is the most sustainable way forward as well. That was one of the insights presented. So thank you so much to our speakers and to all those of you here present who have been listening. Thank you. I hope you're being enriched by the insights presented, and I'm happy to let you know that there's a lot more where that came from. On that note,